What's going on, guys? Captain Cody here. Welcome to today's how-to workshop. Today we're going to be talking about the Nomad DTX Minnow 200 HD. We're going to go over the different ways you can rig this lure and how to troll it effectively. Nomad Tackle makes a number of different lures that all work very well. This lure in particular has been a really great lure for me.
You guys want to know what the best lures are for catching these fish? Nomad DTX Minnow. Proof right there.
I've had a lot of success fishing for Wahoo. We use it to catch black grouper sometimes, trolling. So they're killer lures and you can use them in a couple different applications. I keep a lot of these lures on the boat. Live bait can be very hard to come by. So trolling these is a great alternative to using live bait. And there's also days where you just catch more fish trolling the lures because, you know, especially if the fish are scattered, they're not all in one spot, then covering ground is definitely key. We mainly troll these lures for Wahoo. I usually fish 4 of them. But these lures will also work for trolling for grouper. These lures get down to a depth of about 40 feet. Believe it or not, the black groupers will come off the bottom quite a ways to attack a lure or a bait fish of that sort. So you can troll them out off the edge for Wahoo from 100 feet out to, you know, a couple thousand feet. Or you can also troll them on the reef from about 40 feet to 100 feet. And we've had some good success using these to catch black grouper trolling down the reef. Today we're gonna rig this one on wire. You can also rig them on mono. It really just comes down to, well, how many lures you have with you and how much of a risk you're willing to take. A lot of guys will say, and I know this to be a fact, you know, if you fish this lure on mono or heavy fluorocarbon, you're most likely to get some more bites because the fish can't see the wire. But at the same time, if a Wahoo decides to hit the lure anywhere towards the head of the lure, or, you know, 2 fish might be fighting over the lure and they hit it above the lip, you run the risk of being cut off. So I've fished these lures on wire, I fished them on mono, I fished them on fluorocarbon. I've caught plenty of fish on mono. I've had a few cutoffs as well. So like I said, it's just a risk. And I've also caught a ton of fish on wire. So, you know, whether you fish them on wire or mono, that's your preference. But either way, they do get bit no matter which one you decide to go with. And we've had a lot of good success, especially down in Key West, trolling these nomads around. So I'm gonna jump right into it and show you guys how to rig it on wire. For this rig, you're gonna need 3 things. First thing, a good ball bearing swivel. I wanna say this is probably a 400-pound swivel. You can go down in swivel size if you want. You know, that's really a preference, whatever you decide, but a 200 to 500 pounds ball bearing swivel. And then we have some AFW tooth-proof stainless steel wire here. I like to use number 9, which is 105 pound. And I don't use 105 pound wire because you need that much strength in the wire to keep from breaking off. It's more so the fact of, you know, wire over time will get a little bit corroded, it will get weak. You know, if you catch a few fish on a lure, the wire can get kinked up. So I found that we go with the heavier wire because the longevity of the rig is going to be much better. These lures put a lot of pressure on the wire because you're trolling them fast, they got a big lip, they dive deep. So we've experimented with 70-pound wire, 80-pound wire, and we found that, you know, 100-pound wire, number 9, is the best bet to keep you from having to lose a lot of lures and break fish off. The length of the wire is really a preference. I usually go for about 10 inches or so. To anybody that uses wire and is wondering if there's any way to make a rig without using wire cutters, there definitely is. So I'm gonna show you guys a quick little trick that's easy and doesn't take long to learn at all. Pinch about where you want your wire to be. This looks like about 12 inches. After the haywire twist, it'll come down to probably like 9 to 10 inches. And you're gonna take your wire with your pointer on your left hand and your thumb on your right, and you're gonna make a loop. The thing about single strand stainless steel wire is that if it kinks, it will break over time. So you're making a kink like this, you wanna pull on that kink nice and hard. So this is the first step. Use your pointer on your left hand, your thumb on your right, or vice versa if you're left-handed. Make a very tight kink. You wanna pull that kink together about as hard as you can. And it's crazy to believe, but this is a 105-pound test. If you kink it just right, this wire will break like nothing. So that was just one kink and one pull back. and that wire snapped. So that's something to keep in mind too when you're fishing with stainless steel single strand, is that if your lure gets kinked or something happens and a fish puts a kink in this, it's best to just take it off, put a fresh piece of wire on. Kinks are the Achilles heel for stainless steel wire. So now we have our around 12-inch piece of wire here. You're gonna take this end of the wire. You're gonna go through the eye of the Nomad. Now, the knot we're gonna use to connect this wire is called a haywire twist. You're gonna take the wire and you're gonna make a loop, and you're gonna pull these two together. You want your loop to be fairly tight, about something like that. Now, the key to making a good haywire twist is all about the angles on which you twist it. So you're gonna take your right or your left hand, whichever one's dominant. You're gonna pinch the bottom of the loop there. You're gonna cross your main line and your tag line like this. And you're gonna take your thumb and you're gonna hold the loop in place, making sure that the wires are crossed at about a 90-degree angle like that. You're gonna twist. And the whole time you're twisting, you wanna make sure that you got about a 90-degree angle on your tag and your main line. So once you do about anywhere from 4 to 6 twists in there, you can see, this is what holds the pressure from the fish and everything, is these twists right here. This is almost like a braid. You're almost braiding the wire together so it absorbs the tension from the fish or the lure when you're pulling it. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 wraps in there. And like I said, that's really where the strength is in the haywire twist, is in these wraps right here. So above these wraps here, you're now gonna do something called a barrel wrap. And a barrel wrap is more so kind of like the finishing touch to the haywire twist. It keeps these wraps from unwinding. So barrel wraps, they're not as crucial as these ones are. Maybe 3 to 4 barrel wraps is plenty, probably above your twist. So all you're gonna do is essentially wrap the tag around the main line, but you want it to be as tight as it can be on the wrap below it. So take your pointer and your thumb, hold the loop, and your pointer and your thumb on your other hand. You're just gonna make some wraps right above that. I'd say you could do about 4 to 5 wraps should be enough. So you have your haywire twist here, your barrel wraps here. These are much more important than these. These are the strength of the haywire twist. These are more so just a finishing touch and kind of for aesthetics so that the twist doesn't come undone. You know, when you get to this point, you're probably wondering what's the best method to finishing off the haywire twist and making sure it looks good and is gonna fish well. So, like I said before, single strand stainless steel wire, if it kinks, it will break. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna kink this off so it has a nice, clean, and even finish on the haywire twist. So all you're gonna do to break your tag off here is work your tag end down and up, almost to where it looks like you're gonna unwrap the twist. But if you see a couple more of those, the tag will break off clean and you'll have your haywire twist there with no tag. So now we have our first haywire twist right on the ring of the Nomad there. So from there, we're gonna go to your swivel. We're gonna do the same exact thing. Same exact knot, haywire twist. You're gonna come to the swivel. About 2.5 inches of tag to start. Bring them together. Make your loop with your pointer and your thumb. Take your pointer and your thumb on your other hand. You want the wires to cross at a 90-degree angle. Now we're gonna do our twists. 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we got five twists, which are gonna go into your 5 barrel wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you got your twists, your barrel wraps. Now we're ready to break off our tag. And there's our tag. So just like that, we have our Nomad DTX minnow. We have your haywire twist on the eye of the ring to a 500-pound swivel with another haywire twist. From here, you're gonna connect this to your top shot, which is gonna be on top of your main line, which would either be braid or mono. I generally prefer to use 60 pound on the low end, 100 pound on the high end. You can do fluorocarbon to this, or you can just go with straight mono. It's really a preference, but you really want to go less than 60 pound. If you're wahoo fishing, you really need to have a fairly tight drag, because this is a big lure. You know, wahoos, they eat the bait, they shake their head very violently. If you're not fishing a tight drag, they're gonna throw that lure right out of their mouth. So it's important to use a pretty good sized top shot above this, 60 to 100 pound test mono or fluorocarbon, because you are gonna be fishing these lures with a good bit of drag. If you're fishing for grouper, you don't need quite as much drag because they don't shake their head and make crazy runs like a wahoo does. So I would still recommend a 60 to 80 pound top shot behind your sole here. If you were gonna troll these for grouper, you'd probably skip the wire. I personally would use 100 pound fluorocarbon straight off the eye of the ring there. I'd probably connect it with a uni knot. Some people might connect it with a crimp. I prefer to tie knots because they're faster and more efficient. But you would skip the wire and go with either fluorocarbon or mono, but definitely gonna get you more bites from just all fish in general, fishing mono instead of wire. So depending on what you're fishing for, you can go with wire, you can go with mono. It's just a preference and it depends on what you're targeting. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was helpful to some of you that are looking to do some trolling, learn a little bit about different rigs, different types of leader, wire, how to tie it, how to twist it. I want to give a big shout out to Nomad Tackle for providing us with some of the best lures on the market. These lures have been catching anything from wahoo to kingfish to grouper. We troll them in the Bahamas, we troll them in Key West, and they really do a really good job. They make a great product, so big thanks to them. We hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, don't forget to leave a comment below. And if you want to see more videos like this, just like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.